Hi, I'm Darcel Lobo, and I own law firm owners. Really kind of help build better law firms that support how they want to live their lives, help them go out on their own, really build their law firms, and really improve their law firms so they can live the lives that they want for themselves. For me, I've shared I work kind of a part-time practice, but earning a full-time income and doing so. But I've been able to do so. It's taken me time to get to this point to be able to figure out kind of what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what kind of team do I need to have in place, what kind of processes do I have to have in place, and how can I leverage technology and resources to be able to really do more with less with my law firm. And so today we're going to talk about your overhead. And this is one that I feel like people don't really talk about as much for lawyers and law firms. I went out on my own and opened my own law firm in March of 2016. And I thought about doing it for like 2 years before actually deciding to kind of pull the trigger and open my own law firm. And I would say I had about a 6-month ramp up from when I decided, like, okay, like March 1st is going to be my opening date. And I would say like that September or so before that is when I really got serious about, like, okay, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And I was looking, online and at blogs, trying to figure out kind of piecemeal, like, how do I open a law firm? How do I run a law firm? How do I go from having a guaranteed W-2 paycheck every 2 weeks to going out on my own and only eating what I kill? Like, how do I bring clients in? How do I run a business? I don't know how to open a business. I've never opened a business before. I didn't learn this in law school. Like, how do I do any of that? And that's what this channel is here to kind of answer some of those questions. And that's what I do in my coaching and consulting work for lawyers, is really help them with the business side. Okay, the business side of running a law firm, but also, like, I think just as importantly, or even if not more important, how to incorporate, like, your personal life and how to have your personal life and your professional life and how to have them, like, come together in a way that you can still go out there and be a badass lawyer and a badass business owner, but also still take care of yourself. Because so many times we are the last thing on the totem pole. We are not a priority in our own lives. So how can you be a priority in your own life? And I've shared with you, I don't talk about it as much anymore, but kind of like my weight loss journey and taking care of myself and my health and things like that. But then also, like, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, like how my kids are. I've got one in high school now, one in high school and then one in middle school. So, like, how can I be there for them? How can I be there for my spouse? How can I be there for me also? Because for too long, I felt like I was pouring from an empty cup. And I know a lot of lawyers who are in that same boat, who are just really like running themselves into the ground, trying to take care of everyone else around them and not taking care of themselves. So that's where I kind of look to kind of bring these two together. But back to the topic. Today's topic, we're getting off topic. The topic is your overhead and how much should that cost. And I will tell you, I have law firm owners who are earning, let's say, $250,000. Their revenue of their law firm can be $250,000, and they personally are getting paid more than another law firm owner whose revenue is $400,000. How can that be? Because their overhead is through the roof for the $400,000 law firm. Like, and so you'll have law firms if the revenue is $250,000, $350,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year. It's not that impressive of a number if you're only taking in 20%. I'm not that impressed, right? And for the law firm owner who's bringing in $250,000 a year, but they are personally getting 50% of that revenue in their pocket, they're doing far better than the law firm owner whose revenue is $500,000, but they're only getting paid 20%. So what should that actually look like? We have to control how much money is going out the door. We can't always throw money at our problems and expect that to solve them, because it doesn't always do so. Sometimes we got to do some work. So let's get to let's bottom line list. How much should your overhead be for, again, I'm talking like solos, okay, small firms, 40%, not including yourself. But your overhead, what it costs you to run your business, excluding yourself, should be no more than 40%. If it's more than 40%, we have some cleanup to do. Either your expenses are too high, the revenue, the income is too low. Usually it's both. Usually we have both issues going on. Okay? But so again, 40% is what your overhead should be. How much should you get paid? How much should you realize in revenue? 40% also. So look at your firm's revenue. We're almost at the end of 2024. It's mid-November right now when I'm recording this. So if your firm has a revenue, if you are not paying yourself one way or another, and I say one way or another because I'm not a tax professional, but there may be different ways in which you're paying yourself, and I'm not going to advise you about that. That's not what I do. But if the ways in which you pay yourself do not equal 40%, we've got to disconnect somewhere. We got some cleanup to do in your firm. Okay? If you're just starting out, maybe you haven't opened your law firm, or you just have opened your law firm this year, and you are trying to, if you're already open, hopefully you already have a budget in place. If you don't, I do have my free business planner linked down below. You can get that for free to kind of help you put your budget together and your business plan together. You know, I know a lot of law firm owners who've been doing this for a long time, many, many years, and don't have a business plan. So you need to get that also down below if you don't have one. Okay? But we want to build these numbers in. So overhead is not more than 40%, and that you are receiving 40% from your law firm. Okay? A lot of my law firm owners are hemorrhaging money in their law firms unnecessarily. And if you are a solo, if you are a small law firm, you should not have the same expenses as, you know, a more mid-sized law firm. You should not be spending $3,000 a month on your website and marketing. And I will add a caveat to that if you have like a PI practice, you know, contingent practices might be a little bit different, right? Because it's contingent and your income can ebb and flow so greatly. So there may be some modifiers here, but I feel like I would still say your overhead shouldn't be more than 40%. And there's other ways to do marketing aside from just throwing money at Google ads, which is a real expensive game. And I mean, as long as you're getting the ROI for it, as long as you are multiplying your money, then great. But if your overhead is more than 40%, then you're probably not multiplying it the way that you think you are if you're paying the Google game, if you're paying for the Google game. So in working with lawyers and working with law firm owners, one of the things that I do in working with them is looking at their books. And for a lot of lawyers and law firm owners, like, this whole conversation about money is one that they're just super uncomfortable with. They don't want to talk about it. And I think a lot of it is that maybe they don't want to know the truth either. Like, it kind of hits you, it slaps you in the face when you print out your P&Ls in black and white and we're going over and looking at, like, the money that's coming in or not coming in and what you're paying or not paying yourself and where all your money is going. But if we're going to be law firm owners, if we're going to be business owners and build profitable businesses, these are one of the things that you have to do is look at the black and white numbers of it and figure out what's working, what's not working, and what do I need to do? What corrective actions do I need to take to fix wherever the problem is? Unfortunately, a lot of my law firm owners, when they come to me, they are not getting paid enough. But the firm has revenue. So we have to figure out, where is the issue? Where is the disconnect? What is going on with the books? What is going on with these P&Ls? And for some of my law firm owners, there's some expenses that we can cut. But a lot of times, it's the cutting expenses, while that helps, that's not going to quite get us where we need to go. Usually it's the revenue side. Not enough, revenues being collected. They have too many accounts receivable. They're not billing enough. Their team isn't billing enough, right? And then also, just some law firms are really inefficient. Like, the way that they get things done just takes a lot of manual time, a lot of manual labor on things that aren't billable. So if you're hourly or if you're flat fee, like my firm is primarily flat fee, we got to figure out, on the work that's not billable, how can we make that more efficient? How can we improve that? Because that's costing us time and money. So I hope that helps someone. I hope that helps explain kind of how to put these numbers in perspective when you're planning for your overhead and you're looking at what things are costing you compared to how much revenue your firm is bringing in. Okay, so again, whatever the firm's revenue is, overhead really shouldn't be more than 40%. Maybe 45, but definitely not 50. Ideally 40. So if you need help with, getting this in order, if you need help with the profitability of your law firm, if you need help kind of cleaning up things internally with the efficiencies, procrastination, the time management, if you need help figuring out how to increase your revenue. Sometimes it's just, we got to increase the revenue. We're not making enough money in the firm. So how can we do that? So if you need help with those things, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to hop on a consult with you, talk about what's going on, what the struggles are, what your goals are, and how can we get your firm there, and how can I support you in doing so. So reach out. Contact info is below. If you don't have a business plan, you need one. So get your free one below. I also have a guide on how I run my law firm. I work about 30, maybe even about 25 hours a week right now in my law firm, and still running a full-time practice. So I have that below for you as well for free. Feel free to grab that, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.